Welcome, SENS Talk.
Here comes Travis with a pass across. He scores! He bats it in! Tim Stutzler wins it for Ottawa! Mitchell Grant is going to put the finishing touches on an Ottawa win. See you later. Go SENS go!
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I am your host tonight. The Ottawa Senators took on the Montreal Canadiens as they look to further solidify their playoff chances. With a win tonight, the Ottawa Senators would move to nearly a 99% chance of making the playoffs. Yeah, a 99% chance. But yeah, if we lose, we still have an above 90% chance to make the playoffs. So it's not the end of the world if we lose this game. However, against a team that is below us in the standings, looking to get into a playoff spot, literally with a win tonight, would move into a playoff spot, you want to win those games. This is a big game, and you heard it in the crowd tonight at the Bell Center. Always an electric crowd, and you got to tip your hat to the city of Montreal. We saw it at the Four Nations. We saw it tonight. One of the most electric buildings in hockey, no doubt about it, and we saw that again tonight. Literally a playoff atmosphere. Now, going into tonight's game, Ottawa would ice the same exact lineup, which means that Nick Jensen would remain out of the lineup, which means that Travis Hamonic, and we'll talk about him in the Keef Smoke Meat game notes, because he had a fantastic game, to be honest with you. A couple of bad moments defensively, I guess, but that was not just on him, that was on the team. But I think this was probably Travis Hamonic's best game as an Ottawa Senator this year for sure. But we'll save that for the Keef Smoke Meats game notes. Now, starting in net for your Ottawa Senators tonight was Linus Ullmark, the SENS start goaltender. Surprisingly, has struggled against the Montreal Canadiens in his career with an .869 save percentage and a 3.44 goals against average, going 3-3-0 in his career against the Montreal Canadiens. While the Habs would counter that with Samuel Montembeault, who's been very, very good against Ottawa this year, and would look to continue that tonight in a pivotal matchup for them. Again, Montreal 7-1-2 in their last 10, looking to make it 8-1-2. This is the team, just like Ottawa, that's been red hot in the month of March and have suddenly burst onto the playoff scene. When they look down and out, they're right back in it, and a win today would put them back in it. Now, Ottawa looking to make it 7 wins in a row with a win tonight. They are 7-0-1 in their last 8 games. And Ottawa, their offense has not been an issue whatsoever in the month of March. They have scored 4+ goals in 6 of their last 7 games. And here's a nice little stat breakdown, courtesy of the SENS Talk math team. Shout out to Trenton Raynard, our stats guy, for this really interesting team breakdown of Ottawa in the month of March going into this game. In terms of point percentage, .938. That's best in the National Hockey League since March the 1st. That's fantastic. We're not the only team that's been incredible in March. Montreal is one of them, so that just says it all. Goals for per 60, second best in the National Hockey League at 4.19. Goals against, top 15 in the National Hockey League at 2.59. So nearly scoring 2 more goals than we're allowing per game on average. Team shooting percentage, third best in the league during this rate at just under 15%. Team save percentage, Ullmark and Forsberg have come clutch in the last little bit here. Specifically, Linus Ullmark, he's been fantastic in the month of March with a .913 save percentage, good for top 10 in the National Hockey League. And the power play as well, just under 27% efficiency in the month of March. While the penalty kill has struggled at 21 in the National Hockey League at 72.2%, but that's been a thing going on all year. So that's, I guess, one thing they can fix. But again, no team is completely perfect. That's our little blemish there. So now that you know the situation going into this game and kind of the layout about the Ottawa Senators and how good they've been in the month of March, let's get to the first period of play at 2 minutes in. Bad start for the Ottawa Senators as the Montreal Canadiens strike first. They make it 1-0 Montreal off a breakaway goal for Dvorak. A nice pass on a bad line change by the Ottawa Senators. They get caught. The Canadiens capitalize, and they lead 1-0 not even 3 minutes in. And this is a tough goal here for Linus Ullmark. Half fans are saying he got deked out, whatnot. Look, nice move by Dvorak, no doubt about it. But he lost his stick. That makes it a lot more difficult for a goaltender. For a multitude of reasons. I mean, for one, it's much more difficult to cover the 5-hole, but also for balance, for poke check. I mean, it goes on and on and on the reasons. So that was really unfortunate. Certainly did not help the SENS star goaltender. So unfortunately, the Canadiens strike first to make it 1-0. When they allow the first goal, Ottawa has, however, won 9 of 34, so they have been able to come back at times this year, and we will see that in this game. The Ottawa Senators certainly found a way to push back and respond. They would do so with about 7 minutes left in the period, but Shane Pinto was robbed by Montembeault. This one might have been called back anyways for goaltender interference, but regardless, a great save by Montembeault to keep the Canadiens up by 1, but just a few minutes later, Costco, Arbor, Jackeye, and David Savard, I don't know what they're doing here, to be honest with you. They let Drake Batherson walk right in. He snipes it bar in to tie it up at 1, as the Drake has tied it at 1 there with 3 goals in the last 3 games. The Drake is red hot as of late as well, which is great to see. Again, before this 3 goals in the last 3 games, 1 goal in the last 11. So he has been so good as of late. And speaking of being so good as of late, Dylan Cousins gets another point, this time an assist on this Batherson goal. Makes it 5 points in his 6 games as an Ottawa Senator. And after 20 minutes of play, Ottawa and Montreal are tied. A very even first period of play. I'd say the first 10 minutes, the Montreal Canadiens were all over Ottawa. They put us on our heels, and then Ottawa got into the game, found ways to respond, and did, of course, respond with the Batherson goal to tie it up at 1 going into the second period of play. And Ottawa, when tied, going into the second period, is 16-4-2 this year. Again, this is a very good team. The Ottawa Senators are a team that knows how to battle through adversity and find ways to win, even when it looks like they should have no chance to win. And that's what it looked like in the first 10 minutes. The Canadiens were very much so on the Ottawa Senator heels, and they came to play. We'll talk about that in the third period too. I mean, the Montreal Canadiens certainly deserved the outcome of this game, I'll tell you that much, and they came to play, but so did Ottawa. Now, it wasn't a complete 60-minute effort, which we'll talk about in the Keef Smoke Meat post-game notes. But again, for a good portion of this game, the Ottawa Senators were at least even with the Canadiens, if not playing better than the Canadiens. And it shows going into the second period of play. 10 minutes in, a huge stop by Linus Ullmark. Ollie we trust, as you all know. He's been so good for the Ottawa Senators this year. So key in December, and so key here so far in March, with another fantastic stop 10 minutes into the second period of play to keep things tied at 1. And this sets the stage for, frankly, one of the most iconic moments of the Ottawa Senators season. With just under 8 minutes to go in the second period of play, the Ottawa Senators build some momentum off a big stop from their goaltender, Linus Ullmark, and a couple minutes later, the night for Travis Hamonic truly begins. He takes a shot from the point, it bounces through, just trickles through Montembeault, and guess who? It's Amadio, SENS lead, 2-1 Ottawa. Michael Amadio cleans up the loose puck just behind Montembeault, just squeaks through him. The Sens capitalize. They lead after 40 minutes of play. It's Amadio, Michael Amadio. Ottawa leads by 1. It's 2-1. Amadio has his 8th goal in the last 16 games. Talk about clutch for the Ottawa Senators. David Perron's another guy. Amadio, that third line in general. Pinto, of course. Greg. The Ottawa Senators, all 4 lines in their forward core have been rolling, have been contributing, and it's a big reason why the Ottawa Senators have been on this great stretch as of late, and more so, why the Ottawa Senators have found ways to win in games they have no business in winning. And on top of that, that's a nice play there by Hamonic. It finally, of course, results in a primary assist. It's his first primary assist of the year. And we're not done talking about Travis Hamonic, by the way, but a couple of last things about Amadio. He has points now in 4 straight games and 8 out of his last 9. And by the way, Claude Giroux also got a secondary assist on this goal. So that extends his point streak to 5 straight games as well. I mean, you have Tim Stützle, points in 17 of the last 19 games. You have Tkachuk, who is a goal-scoring machine ever since the Four Nations. You have Giroux, 5. You have Amadio, 8 of 9. Batherson, 3 games, 3 goals. Perron can't stop. The Ottawa Senators are firing on all cylinders. It's so beautiful to see. And we go to the third period of play with a lot of optimism. At least I have a lot of optimism. Ottawa going to the third period with the lead. This year, 26-1-1. They've won 26 of 28 games. It's looking good for your Ottawa Senators, but a few minutes in, just like the beginning of the first period, it starts off again. Not good for your Ottawa Senators. They kick off the third period of play. Not even 5 minutes in, a nice play by Lane Hutson. Of course, it's Lane Hutson. And the Canadiens strike to tie it up at 2. This one beats Linus Ullmark left side bar in. A nice shot there for Hudson. Not much you can really say there. I mean, I saw some people saying that Allmark should stop it. I don't know. I think that's pretty nitpicky. At the end of the day, it was a beautiful shot, and it went bar in. I mean, Allmark forced the shot to as an extreme of an angle as it could have been, but of course, bar in is a great shot. So just a perfect shot, and the Canadiens tied at 2. But 3 minutes later, I told you we would not be done talking about the hammer, Travis Hamonic, because 7 minutes in to the third period of play, I think, frankly, the biggest goal of Travis Hamonic's tenure as an Ottawa Senator, SENS lead again. Travis Hamonic with a slapper. Finally, the patented slapper pays off for the hammer. He has his first in 76 games, his first goal since December of 2023. It's a 2-point night for Travis Hamonic, and Ottawa leads yet again. It's 3-2 Senators. That was such an electric moment. My goodness. You just see the way the team celebrated that goal as well. Unbelievable. Sense Twitter was on fire for that one as well. There's an awesome moment there for Hamonic, again, who's actually had a pretty decent game. Definitely one of his better offensive games ever as an Ottawa Senator, and Ottawa leads, but not for long. A few minutes later, oh man, this is where the collapse begins. A few minutes later, Josh Anderson puts home the loose puck out front of Allmark. Hamonic and Cousins need to do a better job there at controlling the top of the crease and boxing Anderson out. They don't. Anderson takes advantage, and we're all knotted up at 3 again. 5 minutes later, a very, very, very bad penalty by Shane Pinto, and I can't emphasize enough how rare that is, because Shane Pinto is usually so, clean with his style of play. He's very rarely cheating or tripping or, getting caught in positions that take penalties, and unfortunately, it happens here at the worst moment possible in the last 7 minutes of the third period of play. A playoff game in Montreal. Crowd's going crazy. The Sens go on the penalty kill. The Canadiens onto the power play. And you know how that's going to go. Nick Suzuki scores on the rebound after a beautiful stop by Linus Allmark. He can't cover up the puck. That's just a really unfortunate play there. You really got to cover that one up. And the Canadiens lead for the first time in the period. It's 4-3 Montreal off the power play goal. Well, that's it, because after that, Ottawa would push, I suppose, but the Canadiens would score 2 empty net goals in the final couple minutes to seal the deal. As Ottawa Senators lose to Montreal 6-3, get outshot by the Canadiens in total 33-25, and outshot 16-5 there in the third, as the 6-game winning streak for the Ottawa Senators has come to an end. Now, that does not mean the playoff odds or any of that comes to an end. We'll talk about that very soon in the post-game notes, brought to you by Keef Smoked Meats, just in a second. But what I will say is, just before we get to that, is you could just see it there in the way we were outshot in the third period of play. We just ran out of gas there in the third period. The Canadiens put their foot to the pedal. They put the pedal to the ground, went all in there in that third, and played like their lives depended on it, which frankly they did. And they got the result they deserved. I mean, the Ottawa Senators had a chance here to win this game. They fumbled it away. And at the end of the day, the Canadiens deserved to win this game, frankly, because they were dominant in that third period. They were dominant for the majority of this game. Ottawa had their moments and carried the lead at times and showed some great fight. And that's what I love about this team. They always show fight. Win or loss, they're going to fight. They're not going to roll over and die. And they're always going to stay competitive and in it. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough tonight. And a couple of costly mistakes, a couple of bad defensive mistakes, bad penalties, you name it. They shot themselves in the foot there in the third. And the Ottawa Senators have lost their first game in quite some time. Now, let's get to the post-game notes brought to you by Keef Smoked Meat. And Sens Talk is brought to you by Keef Smoked Meats, the best smoked meat here in the Ottawa area. I got it right here. I mean, my goodness. I have family from Montreal. Both my parents are from Montreal. I know a thing or two about smoked meat. And this right here is a beautiful blend of Montreal-inspired smoked meat with a nice, mix of southern flair. It's smoked on a process that takes over 150 hours on top of a mix of Southern American charcoal. And it's mixed in there with Keef's signature flavored wood chips, leaving you with a savory Montreal-inspired smoked meat. Again, Sens versus Habs. We're in Montreal. No better time to break out the smoked meat. If you want to get yours, you can do so rather quickly. That's actually the best part. Because honestly, I had this for dinner tonight. It only felt fitting. And as usual, absolutely fire. Because you get the best of two worlds. You get that nice little southern smoke. And then, of course, you get that Montreal-style taste as well. But the best part about all of this, on top of that, you know, the flavor, is getting this right here. It's so easy. Just go to keefsmokedmeats.com. That's keefsmokedmeats.com. Look at your screen right now. Look right here. You can find the link right there. You can find, whatever smoked meat package you're looking for. There's a lot of different options on the website on keefsmokedmeats.com. After that, press order, and right away your smoked meat will be delivered right to you, to your door. In an instant. I mean, it's a rather quick turnaround. So it's a local company, always good to support local as well. So keefsmokedmeats.com. Thanks for sponsoring this video. And again, absolutely fire. Make sure to check it out. Now let's talk about a couple things here to wrap up this video in the Keef Smoked Meats game notes. So firstly, Brady Tkachuk is very evidently playing through a hip injury. It's very clear. You could see it in his game tonight where there were moments where he looked like his old self. You know, he was using his body very well to shield the others off the puck. And, you know, trying to create plays along the boards, but he wasn't as physically engaged as he usually is. Now, that's not saying that he wasn't engaged in this game, didn't give it his all. No. He played fine. But he just didn't have that impact you would expect in a game like this against Montreal. He's always throwing the body and like laying out guys against Montreal. We really didn't see that tonight. So I wouldn't be shocked, especially as we get closer and closer to clinching a playoff spot, if we see Brady Tkachuk kind of rest and take a couple of games to himself to rest up for the playoffs. Again, that's if we get closer to clinching, and again, we're very close, but still have to get there. Still a lot more hockey to be played. But again, once we get there, I think Tkachuk should definitely sit out for a bit, just like Jensen, to kind of heal up a bit. But kudos to Brady for playing through it and giving it his all, and still playing a pretty solid game. Now, Ottawa's winning streak does end at 6 games in a row. However, Ottawa does remain 4 points ahead of Montreal and 5 points ahead of New York. The Rangers with 2 games in hand on them. New York and Detroit also both lost tonight in regulation. So really, you know, we have 8 of our last 9 games on the year at home. One of the easiest schedules left in the National Hockey League. We control our own fate. We need to just win the games. We should win from here on out, and we will be A-okay. Literally, if you take a look at, you know, the standings and where cutoff line will be, roughly 90 to 92 points, Ottawa can go below 500 and still make the playoffs. So, do I want that to happen? No, but my point is, no need to panic. We were going to lose eventually. It happened tonight, unfortunately. There's a lot to learn from this. It was a wake-up call, and I have no doubt that in the next game on Thursday against the Colorado Avalanche, the Ottawa Senators will respond decisively and will respond with a lot of hunger. Now, the last thing I'll mention in the Keef Smoked Meats post-game notes is Travis Hamonic tonight was very good. Again, in an elevated role with Nick Jensen out, just played above 18 minutes of ice time. Had a goal tonight, 2 points in total, 4 shots on net, 2 hits, and 2 blocks. You got to give kudos where kudos is due to Travis Hamonic, the Hammer. He gets a lot of hate on Twitter from SENS fans and in general. I see it everywhere. And again, criticism is more than okay. I think some things are, especially with him, way too far, and I think it's great to see him have a great game. Unfortunately, it was wasted in a loss. So, unfortunately, Travis Hamonic's best offensive game as an Ottawa Senator will be lost in the shuffle. But hey, kudos to the Hammer for a fantastic game. Now, with that, let me know what you think in the comment section down below as always, and I'll see you all Thursday night when Ottawa takes on the Colorado Avalanche, looking to bounce back and get back into a winning groove. Now, with that, I'll see you all very soon. Go Sens, go.